In the deepest, most forbidden archive of Vatican City, an ancient leather manuscript is discovered. Its pages believed to be bound in human skin. It is written in a language no one has been able to read to this day. But after that manuscript went missing in a mysterious fire in 1983, all the scholars who attempted to read it committed suicide one after another, leaving behind a single mysterious message: it is waking up. On a remote, mysterious lake island in the Italian Alps called Isola del Silenzio, or Island of Silence, a miraculous and terrifying event occurs every 33 years. The lake's water turns red, and a destructive melody emanates from the island, driving any creature or human who hears it to madness or a death-like state. Local lore calls the island Lucifer's prison, and it is believed that the only clue to the stolen Vatican manuscript lies hidden there. Beneath the stones of Vatican City, those narrow, damp passageways seem eager to tell a breathless story. The yellow glow of lanterns plays on the wall inscriptions, where the scent of centuries-old sin and mystery mingles. Father Leo Torcelli's torch beam trembled, his palms slick with sweat. He stood in that secret archive beneath the Santa Maria della Pietà church, known as the Archive of the Damned. Gaining access here required the Pope's direct permission, granted only when the church itself faced a supernatural, horrific truth. Today's goal was to find the file on that cursed 1983 incident. Leo's mentor, Cardinal Valentino, the only living witness to the event, had summoned him to his deathbed. "Leo," he had whispered, the room's air turning icy, "have you heard of the Codex Umbrarum? That book, written on human skin, believed to hold the language of Lucifer? In '83, we made a mistake. We tried to read it. We awakened something." From a shelf in front of him, Leo pulled out a dusty file box. Inside were some charred paper fragments, a metal seal, and several black and white photographs. The photos showed a Vatican library room with piles of burnt books. In one place, the bodies of 4 priests, believed to have committed suicide, bore strange, serene smiles. Leo shuddered. Then he pulled out an envelope. Inside was a photograph, very old, corners singed. It showed a remote lake with a dark green island in the middle. The Alps loomed behind. In Italian, handwritten below, Isola del Silenzio, la prigione di Lucifero, 33. Island of Silence, Lucifer's prison, 33. Leo's torchlight fell on the back of the photo. Scribbled in blood-red ink were some cryptographic symbols. He instantly recognized them, symbols of the same kind he had seen in his research before, samples of that accursed language from the Codex Umbrarum. The symbols looked somewhat like musical notes and somewhat like astral diagrams. Below, again in Italian, "Solo il sono può rompere il silenzio, ma chi ascolta?" Only sound can break the silence, but who will listen? Suddenly, a harsh sound came from the depths of the archive, like the dragging of iron chains. Leo's heartbeat quickened. He looked around. Nothing, just darkness and piles of books. He hastily packed the file into his bag. On his way out, near a particular shelf, his eyes caught something, an empty space. In the dust, a distinct mark, like the shape of a huge, non-human footprint, but with sharp claw marks instead of toes. Leo's mouth dried. This was not a human imprint. Then, from afar, very faintly, he heard a melody, like a violin, but simultaneously unhumanly mournful and alluring. It felt as if the melody was trying to bore into his skull. Covering his ears, he ran out of the underground labyrinth. Outside, in Rome's bright sunlight, he stood catching his breath, but that melody still rang in his ears like a faint hum. As he reached into his jacket pocket, he felt something. Inside was a piece of black stone, smooth, warm. He had not put it there. Carved on the stone was a symbol from the Codex Umbrarum, along with a name, Elena, Island of Silence. Leo understood he had pulled on the thread of this mystery. But who had pulled it? The news of Cardinal Valentino's death arrived on his phone. The message read, "It is waking up. You are next. Go to Isola del Silencio. Find the truth." But who sent it? Valentino had died an hour ago, the hospital had confirmed. Leo looked at his phone. Multiple notifications simultaneously. All the same message from different apps, different times. It was as if time had reversed. The last notification was from an unknown number, with just a GPS coordinate and a date, the night of the full moon. The coordinate pointed north, towards the Alps. As Leo was passing through the Vatican gates, a group of young tourists were laughing behind him. Among them, a girl, tall, with silver hair, was not laughing at all. She was staring directly at Leo. Her eyes were impossibly deep blue, like ancient ice. She nodded, very subtly. A warning? Or a greeting? As Leo stopped, the girl melted into the crowd, as if vanishing into mist. She left behind only a deep, sweet scent of pine trees and ice, exactly like the air of the Italian Alps. How will Father Leo realize that the mysterious woman who came to warn him is actually the last member of Isola del Silencio's secret civilization, waiting for his help? And why is he called the Next? What is about to happen on the island on the night of the full moon? Father Leo's car wound its way up the treacherous, remote roads of the Alps. He had left Rome's warmth behind. Surrounding him now were pine forests and towering peaks. The GPS was leading him to a remote village called Borgo Fantasma, or Ghost Village. Locals were afraid to even utter the village's name, as it was the closest human settlement to Isola del Silencio. Upon arriving at the village, he felt a deep silence. Dogs weren't barking, children weren't playing, eyes peered from behind window curtains, filled with suspicion and fear. He knocked on the door of the old local church. It was opened by an elderly priest, Father Marco, whose eyes held a century of weariness and deep sorrow. "You are Leo Torcelli," Marco said, without preamble. "We have been expecting you. Valentino called, the night before he died. He said his worthy successor was coming." It was clear to Leo that Cardinal Valentino had pushed him into this danger. Marco led him inside the church. On the wall was an old fresco, an island in a lake with a huge, dark creature chained upon it, and sound waves with sharp edges emanating from its mouth. Below, in Latin, Hic Draco, qui est lingua dragonis. Here lies the dragon, which is the dragon's tongue. "Lucifer is not a fallen angel, Leo," Marco said gravely. "He is a civilization, a species. We call them the Silentes, or the Silent Ones. They are inhabitants of the world before sound. Their language was pure melody, sound that could touch, shape, even break matter. They were worshippers of knowledge and beauty. But jealous of their power, some extremists of the ancient church, during the time of Pope Gregory IX, captured them and imprisoned them on this island. The Codex Umbrarum is actually a translation of their knowledge, written on human skin forcibly taken from them during their capture." Leo's face turned pale. "Then that melody, the one I heard in the archive? That was one of them, still alive. Every 33 years, the seals of their prison weaken somewhat. They emit that melody for freedom, for communication. But the human brain cannot withstand the full power of their sound, so those who hear it go mad or die.
In 1983, those in the Vatican heard it while trying to extract the melody from the Codex. Their suicides were under the influence of a distorted sound. But why me? Why am I called the next? Marco handed him an old diary. Because you are the last person with the bloodline of the Silente's protectors. Your mother, Elena, was from this village. She was the last member of their custodian lineage. In 1970, when you were only 2 years old, she went to the island to strengthen their prison seals, but she never returned. We assume she died, but last night, Marco's eyes widened. I looked towards the island with binoculars and saw a woman standing there. She threw this stone of yours into the river, which flowed down and got caught near our water wheel. Leo's hands were trembling. He took out the stone. His mother, alive? On the night of the full moon, Marco said,